folks, I'm L.A. Little, and this is your daily TA Wrap. We take a look at these markets, and we do it from a neoclassical perspective each time, asking ourselves what happened today, and what does it tell us about tomorrow. I do this show 4 times a week, Monday through Thursday, live at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, here from the base of the Rocky Mountains, folks. The markets really didn't go anywhere today. We had some bad Chinese data, in particular their current account deficit, running trade deficits instead of surpluses, which is what they've done for so many years. That was the big news today. China sells off, Asia sells off for the most part. Europe sells off to start with, then rallies back. We can't sell off. We pretty much held steady. Looks like the worst hit was to the industrials. That probably is a direct link with the situation in China, and to some extent with Boeing and with the airliner going down out of Singapore. So industrials down almost 0.5%. The healthcare on the other side got a big bounce, probably in the biotech, which had been hit pretty hard, and XLE held up, XLF held up. So you can see the strength was in some of the key sectors here to hold the S&Ps steady on the day. They ended up closing pretty much flat. So if we look at the ending numbers here, industrials are down, 34.21. Russell was down 0.23. The S&Ps was basically flat, as was the composite. And even though the index was up, it was basically flat as well. Gold was down a little bit today. Silver was down. Oil was down. Pretty much commodities were down. Actually, gold ended up. It was down earlier and then ended up on the day. Looks like it's down a couple bucks after hours. So really, from a standpoint of the markets, there wasn't that much movement with respect to what was happening today. I'm having to use some other charts today. I didn't get updates today, so I'm going to pop over to these. We're not going to get volumes on the indexes, but we'll look at the SPYs and so forth to see. But what you can see here, and the reason for pulling this up is once more, every time this market tries to sell down, right, there's just no sellers. Every time it's, you try to see it sell down, comes down, and if you look at it intraday here, it was pretty much pressure on it almost all morning, sells down, and then what does it do? It climbs all the way back up to the top, ends up almost break even on the day. And it's been that way for a long time. I mean, if you just go down this list, there's not very many sell-off days. If I go over the last, 7 weeks, I can see 2 down days, basically, right? The rest of them were pretty much winners, day after day after day, and even this one left a long tail on the backside. So it's been hard to get this market to sell off and stay off. Today was no different. You had it down here this morning. What does it do? It closes up almost break even. If we look over, let's look at the SPY to see what kind of volumes we did. The volumes I thought were very light today, and they look like it from the SPY as well. Same sort of scenario. You come into this big bar, and if you look here on the volumes, the 3 big volume bars were the bars around that Russian scare. So it was Friday. This was Friday's bars. That was Monday's Russian scare, and that was turnaround Tuesday, right? So those 3 bars is where all the volume was. As you came back today, you were coming into those bars, right? It has no volume comparatively. No wonder it just flips around, right? Sellers disappear as price depreciates. Let's see what the others look like. I suspect they're going to look the same in terms of volume characteristics. Starting with the Qs. So the Qs actually got under, slightly under, back over, less volume. Let's see if that's true of the NDX as well, and it was. I'm assuming the volumes are going to be much lighter here given everything else I'm looking at. So that to me tells us that we're going to try to trade these things back higher tomorrow. Let's see what the composite was. Same scenario, up, underneath, back over. How about the industrials here? We'll actually get some volumes. No volume, underneath, back over. Again, into those 3 big bars, same sort of thing. No sellers at lower prices. And let's quickly look at the Russell. and then flip to the IWM, and the Russell also looks like. So these all look to me like they're going to try to come back up and test highs. I mean, that's what these long tails look like to me when I see a market that comes down, trades into areas where there was volume, right, and all of them did it, and then they flip around and they head right back the other way. That's just basically saying, hey, there are no sellers at lower prices. This market's going to try to work back the other way again. All right, let's pop. Let's see what else we can do here, because we're going to be a little bit limited in that we don't have the regular charts, but we can go look at the sectors to see if there's anything there. And these will be adjusted because they pay dividends, so they'll look a little bit different, but we can still, again, look here to see if we have the same sort of scenario that we have over on the indexes. And as you can see here on the IYT, that is what happened today. Semis have been leading us up. Let's see what the semis look like here. SMHs. And now they had some volume coming off the top. That's the first time I've seen that. So that's not all that positive. That's probably a worse one. Here's the XLB. So the XLB comes into the gap area, right, and has a little bit more volume. The big bars are back below it, so that also is a, these are all, every one of these are like hammers, right? And that looks like it's going to flip around and go back to the top again. XLE, which was one of the ones that held up today. XLE looks like it's still going to test those highs. Remember, we had highs on this bar from the 24th, so that still looks the same. Let's see what the financials did. Financials held, no volume, just holding at the top. There's nothing wrong with that pattern. Industrial sold down the most, and even there, you just came into the bar, you still closed over it, right, and you have less volume. That also is a positive. XLK hanging at the highs. XLP, same scenario, hanging at the highs. XLU was trying to turn, and that one looks like it's going to actually come back down some. XLV, again, now this came off with the volume, and today it's an inside day. That doesn't really tell me anything. I'm suspecting that we saw a bounce over here. Not much of a bounce, really. 0.5%. Let's see what the BBH, which is a different measure of it, same sort of thing. So I don't know. Those biotechs don't look all that healthy. I know some of these biotechs were strong today. Let's pop over to the last of the sectors before we get distracted. XLY. This is consumer discretionary, and the XLY actually closed back up towards the highs. Another hammer there. Folks, these all look like they're going to hang here and try to go higher tomorrow. Let's pop over to the OX sectors, see what happened there. I don't think much happened anywhere really. TLT. Now the TLT was testing on a non-adjusted basis, was testing the bottom of this bar. Got a little bounce today, no volume. That still looks like it's going to test more. So as the bonds calm down, that's pushing interest rates back up. And if it breaks here, then interest rates are going to push back up. But you know what? The more worrisome piece of the bonds was for it to break out on the top side, not the bottom side, and that's not what happened. Dollar has been trading lower. Dollar still looks like it's going to try to go lower. If so, gold should hold. Gold's still hanging up there. How about silver? Silver still says we're going to trade lower. Now silver is divorcing itself a little bit from the gold, and the reason for that is silver is more industrial, right? There's some industrial components to it as compared to the gold market, which is more precious metals, right? The currency type thing. So silver's still looking weak to me. I'm not so sure that I'm not so sure that gold can move up. Let me see what the gold stocks did. And they're all still hanging there. These look to try to test these lows again, though, is what they're trying to do. Let's pop into I know that JJC got hammered. So this is the copper market. Volumes expanding quite vociferously. Let's pop into, say, a 2-year weekly, and it's testing the lows again. And it looks like it's going to break them. No, it looks like it'll hold them for now and then bounce. But copper, so any of your copper stocks are going to get hit, like say Freeport, McMoran, what is it, FCX, I believe. These guys are probably going to get hit, and they did. They got the gold component, but they got the big copper component too. There's some pure copper plays that are probably getting killed. Municipal bonds. Some of the others here. Let me take a look and see about these. Yeah, I don't see anything there. So, it looks to me like this was just a consolidation at the highs. I don't see anything happening on any kind of a basis here that would suggest something more sinister happening. So let me look at one last thing here on the bonds. Let's look at instead of municipals, what is my other symbol? Junk bonds, J and K, because these have been going up. A little bit of sell-off here. That's interesting. Okay. All right. I'm going to make it short tonight. I don't have much else to say. If there's some questions, I'll try to answer those. For the most part, it looks to me like, if you go over and you look at China, we can look at it in a different way here with the FXI. You can see that there's some pressure there. And I could actually pop into the Shanghai market. Let me see if I have that quote available real quick. Because those markets got hit pretty hard. Well, I don't have that one on my fingertips, but I think that's where the real concern is going to be tonight is what does Asia do? Do they continue to sell down or not? You can kind of see that in the emerging markets here with the EEM getting sold down today. But even there, hammer reversals. So looks to me like these markets more or less are going to hold tonight and probably try to push higher again tomorrow. All right. Well, I don't see any questions. I'm going to leave it at that. Call it a night. I appreciate you coming and stopping in. Thanks a lot. Until next time, I'm LA. This is and was your daily TA wrap. Have a great night. I'll see you next time. Good night, folks.